This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jeff Gardner.
Welcome to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have another good neighbor on, Candice Young of Linx Kitchen and Social. Candice, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We've been watching you guys for a little while. We've seen what you've done with that magnificent place. But for the people who don't know, tell us about your business, Candice. What do you do?
Well, we are quite a few things all under one roof. We cover an upscale dining experience blended with an upscale golf experience.
So I love that.
Very unique concept.
Yeah, it really is. And so I've been to a couple of virtual golf experiences and never come across one like yours. One of the ones local to me in Aurora, although I spend most of my time in Simcoe County. It's nice. It's got a decent little bar. It's got two little areas for your virtual golf, so you can have a beer and hang out a little bit. Not quite like Linx, which is super cool. So there's a few really fundamental questions to our show here. They all have a purpose, but some have a bit of a stronger meaning than others. And we really pride ourselves on being very interested in the human story, like what's the journey like, the ups and downs and all that. And one of the first questions I like to ask is, what brought you, it's a two-part question, what brought you to A, because we're very interested in entrepreneurs. That's what we are. And every person on the show is an entrepreneur, and it's a hard path. It's not easy to create your own thing and carve your own path, a lot of ups and downs. Yep. So what brought you to choosing that hard path and deciding this is what I have to do? And then second, what led you to creating this new little, this kind of unique world for us golfers and eaters combined at a high-end scale?
Okay. That's, wow, I don't know if I can talk fast enough. So the original concept was put together by myself and my husband, who both had a passion for golf as well as a passion for food. And one thing that we found over our course of time of being golfers is that the food was never good at golf courses. Really. And you can only handle so many egg salad sandwiches to last you a lifetime. So when we put this concept together, which was the old school way of drawing on a napkin, we decided to put together a modernized twist of a country club. So we thought about, why not put together this upscale restaurant that had amazing offerings, but then also included golf as a bonus. So it can be that more of an environment for the mature demographic, very similar to a Toronto vibe in the Simcoe County area, where people could come and just dine, or just come and have a seat in the lounge and watch the game, or meet with coworkers or their companions, or maybe they can also play a round of golf. So we put that unique concept together and took all the little things that we didn't like about other indoor golf facilities and the country clubs and everything like that, and put together this concept, which is what Linx is to today. So we are probably one of the only places where you can come, golf, dine, have a drink, watch the game, and stay as long as you want without having to worry about us trying to flip a table and get you out of here ready for the next person. So
I love that you said it was built on a napkin. How many incredible ideas have been built on a napkin? And second to that is, this is why I'm so interested in entrepreneurs and why I spend all my time with them, is that you took all the things that you liked. You took, many of the things that you liked and many of the things that you didn't like, and you combine them all into a workable, monetizable idea. That's no small feat. A lot of people have a lot of great ideas, but you build it once in the head and then you build it in reality. The building in the reality part is a lot harder than building it in the head. So kudos to you for making it happen. And you're not a carbon copy of anybody else from what I've seen. I've been to, I don't know, let's say 6 different virtual golfing experiences. Most of them are pretty much the same. Yeah. Some of them got some snacks and things like that, but yours was really intriguing to me that, I could go out on a date just and have a nice place to eat with good food. I could bring the boys. We could have a business thing. We could have a sports thing. all kind of wrapped up into one. And I like that modern high-end experience. It's just, I don't know, I'm kind of bougie like that. And I get that feeling from your facility. It's great.
And that's exactly the impression that we want. You know, when you pull up to Linx, we look like a strip mall, and that wasn't what our intentions were. It was just limited on what we were allowed to do. But we liked the idea that when you pulled up, you weren't quite sure what the experience was going to be. You walk through the front door, you're greeted by a nice welcoming space where we have coat check and shoe check, so you can check your outdoor shoes, whether you are just here for a date night. Us ladies don't want to be walking around in winter boots, so we want to pop our nice shoes on. So instead of having that affect us, we thought, let's give a shoe check as well. And then as soon as you walk around the corner, it's that wow factor of this 10,000 square foot facility that is simple and upscale and welcoming to that mature demographic. I don't have to, you know, we still welcome families, but we don't have too many children around the building, which is a nice little feature some days when we just want that escape, where you can just come out on a boys' night or a ladies' night. You can come out on a date night or a bigger date night, or, you know, you could even do a team build here or whatever the case might be, where you can tackle a lot of different things all within one facility.
Yeah, no, and 10,000 square feet, goodness.
Yeah.
Now, I know the answer to this, but I imagine some people are thinking about this. Are you guys seasonal?
We are actually not seasonal. And that's the crazy part that, you know, you touched on it, that there are a lot of indoor golf facilities, and you are 100% right. They are popping up everywhere. And the experience is normally different at every single one, from the type of golf system that they use, to the food that they offer, to the customer service that they provide. And there's nothing wrong with any of them. It's just here, because we are a restaurant first, the golf is the bonus. So we are not seasonal. People can still come in here and golf throughout the summertime, hot days, rainy days, busy days on the golf course. You can just come in for lunch and dinner. You know, you can just come and dine. You can still just come in and golf any time of the year.
Yeah, which is, I think, again, another unique trait to Linx. The immediate thoughts in my head were like, what were the startup costs to that thing? Because I think that's one of the reasons why so many virtual golf businesses are similar.
Yep.
Because I could only imagine the startup costs to your business.
It's absolutely ridiculous that I could sit here and, you know, like I said, when this whole concept started, it was about 30 cocktail napkins that we drew on and wrote on. And we came back and we were like, okay, let's go get some money now. And we walked into the bank and literally put out our napkins like the most
Here's our business model
possible. And we went to quite a few banks and they laughed at us. And they just went, yeah, we'll give you 10 grand. And we're like, well, that's not going to work. And then we went to one bank where we actually finally found someone that was willing to actually educate us and help us as being new business owners, and said, okay, take those cocktail napkins and put it into a business plan. And then let's take the next steps from there. And we were able to get the funding that we needed, which was definitely not a small amount. Even then, we were still a little short between what was in our pockets and what the bank was willing to give us. So we did have to reach out and get investors, which was a scary little factor as well too. But we chose to find investors that were local, ones that were part of the community already, that knew the pros and cons, that knew how to run a business in this town, so they could help educate us into helping make the business just as successful as we want it to be. And then, of course, during this whole process, we worked with a lot of contractors and people from the community, so we could keep as much business local as possible and support as many people. And, you know, that's always great when it comes to advertising too, because you work with me, they talk about the new concept. It was a nice little chain effect to help us, and we could help them. And then the pandemic hit. And it was probably one of the most scariest things, you know, not just health-wise, but for business-wise, to be a brand new business opening at the heart of the pandemic. And we were originally supposed to open in the April of 2020. and we got shut down 3 weeks before construction was completed. And then throughout the summer, our contractor that we were working with was in the process of saving about 100 other restaurants by following procedures, helping them get going, and working with all the different modifications that the pandemic brought along for the industry. And we said, go and save them. We'll figure it out. We'll wait. We'll figure it out. And we waited until the September and finally opened our doors with only 50 people allowed in a 200 person capacity space. And then that slowly dropped down to 10 with nobody wanting to work because everybody was collected the STIR benefit, which made sense for a lot of people. But it meant that it spent every waking minute we were allowed to be open, running it by ourselves. One chef and me serving on the floor for the good heart of it.
You know, I talk about this a lot. Like entrepreneurship is a major factor in my life, not just for money. That would be like 4th, 5th, 6th on the priority list. It helps me discover who I am and what I'm capable of. And because entrepreneurship is hard by nature, it challenges you to find out what can you survive, what can you learn from this. And so many businesses, now that we've done a few hundred episodes, so many businesses starting those last 4 years. And I'm like, if you made it through COVID, then what can't you achieve at this point? Because entrepreneurship is hard enough on its own to go through a mandatory lockdown. What did we have? 4 or something? It was like 18 months over 3 years, something like that. It was a long time.
It was a very long time.
So, you know, especially the scale of which you guys did, that's a testament to, I think, the dream of that business to keep going.
It was pretty crazy because we live about 45 minutes outside of Barrie. And it got to the point where I was sleeping here at the restaurant because we were staying open as late as we were allowed to and opening as early as we were allowed to try and get as many of the 10 people in as possible. And, you know, I ended up making a deal with another local business that had a shower in their place to say, I'll bring you food if I can shower here when I'm sleeping at the restaurant. And they were like, not a problem, come on in. And there were days where I would sleep here so I could be here at 7:30 in the morning and then stay open till 1 o'clock in the morning and not have to drive back and forth in the winter. And just to be able to get customers in our building so we could pay our bills. And we were one of those lucky businesses that didn't qualify for anything that the government was willing to offer. So we definitely hit every single hardship that was possible. A lot of sleepless nights, a lot of tears, a lot of time away from the family. And, you know, it was a lot of sacrifices that we had to make, but I was actually glad that I did have a little bit of hardship come my way and really tested us because it made us stronger business owners and, you know, a lot more adaptable to the industry where we had to brainstorm and modify and alter so many times. And it was a learning curve and I loved it in a weird way.
Well, that's one of the questions and I'm looking forward to diving into that. But it's interesting, you know, the more focus you pour into something, the more it grows, the more it develops. And it's like, if you're going to put all these obstacles in my way and I decide that I'm going to surmount them or at least try, you're going to come out pretty badass by the end of that. This is not going to be a hobby. This is going to be like, I am making this thing real. So I'm curious though, now that we're out of the pandemic, we've had a good little stride post COVID, post that chaos. How is business going?
Business is good. I'm not going to sugarcoat things. We are still recovering. We are still trying to remodify, change, and accommodate because the customer demand is different now too. I find a lot of people want a lot of stuff for as little as possible. And I understand that. Like, I have 4 kids at home, so I get it. And, you know, at the same time, we're trying to keep on brand and be able to still get our name out. And unfortunately, we relied a lot on word of mouth to help get our brand out there. The golf community, as you know, they chat like crazy, and everybody's talking about where they can golf. And we relied a lot, like I said, on the golf community to spread the word. Not too many people are as open to helping us out when we're trying to steal some summer business from them. But it was more of, it's not about stealing, it's about offering your customers as much as you can, which will overall just help everybody else out down the road. So business has been good. Staffing has been a little bit more difficult than we have hoped for. But we have been blessed over the last couple of years to have some really great, hardworking staff members that understand what customer service should be. But like we're still here, we're still open and still going strong. So could be worse, I guess.
Well, I love that, because I hope business, I mean, our whole thing is helping businesses not just survive, but thrive.
Yeah.
And this podcast is about that. But there's so many things I love about your business. So I fingers crossed that you guys continue to kill it over the years. Something that I'd like to know, one of the things about this podcast is not only do we pride ourselves on connecting with the community and getting businesses out there, but the educational piece, right? Yeah. There's so much information out there, and a lot of it is shit. I mean, at the end of it, if I'm just going to be blunt, a lot of it is not good. So if we can help provide quality information that can increase the quality of somebody's life, help them make new and better decisions, that's something that we really want to do. So one of those questions is about the myths and misconceptions about your world, about your industry. Is there anything that you can reveal for us or clarify for us that we may have in our head that may not be accurate, especially because your business is so unique? People may not be aware. Anything that comes to mind that you can clarify for us?
You know what? Yeah, there's a lot of a misconception to a lot of people that we are just indoor golf. And that's not, faulting on somebody else. It's because there are so many indoor golf facilities that everybody thinks that we're all the same. We're all providing a virtual golf. We're all providing this bar setting. It's not. It's a different experience to every single place. So it's the misconception that we are just golf. But once people come here and realize that we are a full menu that offer so many different items, from the chicken wings and the burgers that everybody's comfortable with, to rack of lamb, to duck. We even offer a 3-pound tomahawk steak here. There are so many different things that we touch base on that people don't realize that we are a restaurant. We are a place that has great quality food, that our executive chef literally handcrafts every single menu item. And we are a restaurant first. And it's that misconception that that's what we aren't. So it's getting people knowing that the golf is the bonus, not necessarily just the food.
I'm gonna talk to you about that afterwards, because I think that's great, and we'd love to help in any way we can.
Yeah.
So outside of business, Candice, I asked this question to, as I said, we've done a few hundred episodes, and I don't know, I guess 60 to 70 to 80% of them all say the same thing. I'm going to ask you what you do for fun. And I like to preface it by, most entrepreneurs say, I love what I do. It's like, okay, that's a great answer. I'm super happy that you dig what you do, but outside of business, what puts a smile on your face, Candice?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, I have 4 kids at home.
Busy.
My husband and I, we are a blended family. And my husband actually, during all of this, retired after 18 years in the military. He did 3 tours in Afghanistan. He has done so much training that it's absolutely mind-blowing, and that this was our passion. Then, of course, because of everything that happened with the pandemic, he chose to take care of the family front so I could take care of the business front. So when I'm not here, I'm honestly spending time with my kids and my husband. We actually are very home-buddied people. We love to spend time together and do movie nights or go swimming in the pool in the summer. And then we're running around to a million extracurricular activities that some days we're in and out of the door so fast that we have no idea what's going on. But I love it. I love being busy with the family. I love, the some nights where I get just to spend time with the kids, or when I get to spend time with my husband. And most of our friends are business owners. So they all get it. We all run the same busy, hectic lives that sometimes the only time we can meet up is at the extracurricular activities. But that's what I do for fun. I honestly, when I'm not working, I'm at home with the kids working on that.
Okay, so then let me follow up with this, because I love that. It's busy life. You got the family, you got the business. If I were to ask you, what do you love about the family side? I know what your answer is going to be, but I'm curious, what brings you joy out of running the business? What do you love about running this business?
You know what? I started in the hospitality industry over 20 years ago as a server. And, the one thing I can't stand is that people have that misconception that you're just a server. I hate that term. I actually explain to all of my staff that you are customer service representatives. You are not a server. You're providing a level of customer service to every single person. You are to care about what they're eating, what they're drinking, what they go on with their family. I would say about 90% of our regulars, we know what their partners' names are, what their kids are doing, what grandkids they might have, how their workday was. I already know what they're driving. So when I see them driving to the parking lot, I say, okay, so-and-so's here, grab them their beer. And, it's that level of customer service that I love about this industry, and the things that I used to hate when I was a server at other establishments, or what I require as I hit an older demographic. There are certain things that I want when I'm spending time away from my family, or outside of my home, or even outside of my own business, the levels of customer service that I expect. So I sit there and try and find every little thing possible that might make it a better experience for somebody else. So I love the challenge every single day of what that customer might bring with that answer, that conversation, or something that I learned that I wasn't already doing before. So it's the same with my staff. They come in and say, oh, we used to do this at this place. I'd say, ooh, I like that. Let's try it here. And it's making it more of a team environment. We're spending so much time together. If I didn't listen to my staff or listen to their opinions, how are we a team? So there's a lot of little elements of, okay, well, what did you like about that job? Or what did you get frustrated with last night's conversation? How did you handle that horrible situation or that customer complaint? Okay, well, why don't we educate everybody on how we handle these situations so we're all on the same page, so we can all deal with it the same way and help each other out by growing instead of just one person growing. So honestly, I don't love everything about owning a business. I'm not going to sugarcoat that when I'm not that way inclined. But there's a lot of elements that I love doing. I love coming into my building, seeing what's going on, who's going to be coming in, or, how many new customers do we get today, to hearing about what our systems have done to help people's golf games, or how we're the place they come to every day after work just to have that coffee or that beer or that drink because they just like our company. So it's nice that every day is different, and that's what I like about this industry. Yeah. The problem solving factor for entrepreneurs, it seems to be a common theme, and really putting a smile on somebody's face when they've walked through your engineered experience is a pretty cool thing, to have that kind of impact on another human being. But one of my main takeaways was that team building practice that you have. Everybody that comes on the show, myself included, we're all entrepreneurs. Many of us have large teams. Our team's a fair size. Some people have one or two. I go through my phases of listening to the team and not listening, because it's easier not to listen. Obviously, it's harder to listen, but that's a hell of a practice to really build that culture, as you said, rather than just one person growing, which is the case in many examples. The boss marched to my beat, and it seems logical as to why that entrepreneur would think that is the right way. Because listen, I own the business, I have the main skill set, so just do what I say, and the business will run more effectively. I don't know that that's true. Most of the time, a lot of people have great ideas. And the added benefit is, when I let my team speak and they can teach me something and I show my appreciation for it,
Now they have this feeling of, I'm a part of building this thing. It's not just a 9 to 5 or a paycheck to me. I have skin in the game and I'm having an impact. And I think when you can create an environment for one of your people to feel like they have an impact, that is an incredibly rewarding feeling for both them and the team.
100%. And it's crazy because I keep a very small team here, and definitely we go through employees, people move on, they come back and join us, or they take a break, like whatever the case is. We run a very small team because I want to be able to trust everybody that's on the floor. I want my staff to feel comfortable. I want them to know that you're spending just as much time away from your family as I am. So we need to become our own family. There's certain levels that I don't cross with my staff. I don't have any of my staff on social media. I let them have their personal space, because otherwise I'm like the mom and I don't want to invade on their space. I don't care what they do outside of the restaurant, as long as they are still being respectable, because they're also a face of my business too. They're coming in here. I can walk down the street and people be like, oh, that's Candice, she works at Linx. But they're also going to say that about one of my servers too, saying, oh, I know where she is. She works over at Linx. You're still representing my brand even outside of here. But it's saying to them like, hey, if you care about this place just as much as I do, I need to be able to trust you. I need to be able to listen to you, and you need to be able to trust and listen to me too. So it's an equal grounds. As much as I might own the place, it's an equal term. Like, it's an equal understanding.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I think that's really great advice. So we pivoted a little bit around there, starting from fun to team building and listening to each other, which is great. One of the things I like about these conversations, just bounce around, just like real life. That's how conversations go outside of podcasts, and we like to be the same on here. But this question is one of the most meaningful, certainly for me, as I've learned so much from implementing a version of this question in my own life from past years, and then listening to all you great guests come on here and share your own experience. And I think you've already touched on it. There may be something else, but we really like to talk about doing hard things. Entrepreneurship is hard.
Yeah, it is.
The hardships in life. Like, if you are out there living, you are going to take a beating. Sometimes you're going to get your ass kicked. Nobody's getting through this unscathed. Yep. So we like to talk about those beatings. Why? Simply because certainly from my own life, from the books behind me that I learned from the mentors in my own life, they all seem to say that it is through our greatest challenges that we give ourselves the opportunity, not necessarily a guarantee, but the opportunity for the greatest reward. If I'm doing easy things all day, every day, and not challenging myself, what will I make of myself? I don't know. Certainly nothing great from my own experience, but through our hardships, especially sharing them, we remove that shame, that stigma, that fear of ridicule, because we look at it as a failure. We have this motto on our team: we're either winning or we're learning, and we do a lot more learning than winning, I'll tell you that, but that's part of the process. So we like to ask the guests on the show, any hardships, trials and tribulations that you've been through that probably sucked in the moment as hard, has a symptom physically that doesn't feel so good, but when you look back in hindsight, you can say, I would not remove that ingredient from the recipe that is me, because it's led to me enjoying my life as I do now.
Okay, so honestly, when we first opened this place, it was like both my husband and I very much involved here. And we very quickly learned that him coming out of the military into the civilian world wasn't necessarily what he envisioned or was able to handle, So then that's when I kind of jumped in 110%. Has it been difficult on our family? Sure. Has it been difficult on my friendships or other relationships that I have? 100%. But there's so many different things. I've liked the fact that I've been challenged. Have I been mistreated? Sure. Have I been, had stuff stolen from me building this concept? 100%. I've had staff steal. I've had contractors steal from us. Like, there's been a lot of different hardships along the way, but we looked at it as a learning curve. And one of the biggest things was honestly, and I hate chirping about it because I actually look at it as a strength, but it was really difficult being a female in the golf industry. And, you know, majority of golf courses are honestly run by men, and there's nothing wrong with that. But a female running an indoor golf facility is quite rare to find. And that came at quite a bit of, you know, quite a few comments, quite a few opinions thrown. And it was a lot of building my own name and my own personality towards the industry that I enjoyed the challenge of. It wasn't you know, the amount of times that when we first opened that I got, oh, well, where's your husband? I'd rather talk to him. And I'd be like, oh, well, he is not here, but I am more than capable of answering your question. So there was, you know, quite a bit of challenges just being a female within the industry to generating a strong team that is just as capable of doing an equal job and feeling trusted in the environment. If I, you know, like there's definitely those little hardships along the way that was a bit more of a struggle for me. But since then, I've gained a lot of respect within the industry, both indoor golf and outdoor golf, as well as hospitality. So it's definitely been a roller coaster of experiences. But I've gained a lot of respect along the way and learned, honestly, a lot more about myself, which is a nice little feature and something that I can pass along to my daughters.
It's such an interesting thing, you know, like I'm listening to you say this and I'm like, yeah, that's an added layer of difficulty that I don't experience out there being a man. And there's one half of me that's like, I wish she didn't have to go through that. I wish, you know, human beings were a little bit more, I don't know, understanding, compassionate, less judgmental. But then there's the other side of my brain that's like, you probably became that much more effective, that much more valuable. You said you
100%.
developed a lot more respect and you became, you know, you probably were able to dial your business in more through that challenge. So there's one side of me that's like, can we all just play nice? And then there's the other side that's like, look at the growth that came from that. And that's why we asked this question. So I'm not going to say I'm thankful that you went through that. What I am going to say is I'm glad that you chose to turn it into a positive. And that's what I want people to hear.
Yeah. And in all honesty, when we first opened up, you know, we got nominated by quite a few areas for female in business or female entrepreneur of the year and all these different titles. And at first I was like, yeah, like, damn right, you know, this is great. And now to this day, I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be nominated in that category. And I literally had somebody say to me the other day, you don't want to go for female entrepreneur of the year? I'm like, no. I said, because for me to be entrepreneur of the year, I want to go against everybody, because that to me makes it more fair. Like, I'm all for female power. Obviously, front of house, we are female dominated. Our kitchen is actually a female chef. So I love the fact that we are able to crush this industry with a strong female presence. But if I'm going to win an award, I want to win it against everybody in the industry versus just because I'm a female.
Yep. I like that. It's pretty badass, Candice.
Yeah, you know.
Okay. So after all this time that you've spent in this industry, the customer service, you were a server before, clearly you dig seeing people being benefited and enjoying this environment that you've created for them. Clearly you enjoy the challenge. You put the high-end restaurant with the lounge, with the golf simulator there. If you could take all that information about your business in particular, Linx Kitchen and Social, and distill it down into one or two main takeaways for our audience to know, what would you want them to know about Linx Kitchen and Social?
You know, one of our big lines that we always say about our business is that we are the experience worth talking about, because it is something that you are going to experience once that's going to bring you back again and again and again for a brand new experience every time. Your dish is always going to be an experience. You know, the amount of people that we see videoing the food when it's coming out, or different little features, to their date night, to their golf game, to something. It's an experience every time, and it's a different experience every time. But you always walk away happy and planning the next event. So I definitely think that's a nice little feature to kind of take away from Linx, that we are, an experience. We are a destination location. We get that. People are not just driving by our building and going, oh, hey, there's a restaurant, I'm going to turn in here. You do need to, drive down that good old King Street that everybody gets lost on, to find us hidden around back, which we've been told is the hidden gem of Barrie. So kind of the speakeasy too. No idea what to expect, and walk right in, and here you are for hours on end.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. I really like it. I'm going to have to come by soon again. Okay. This question is my favorite one.
Okay.
And I leave it out of the questionnaire on purpose because some people script their answers on the show, and it just, podcasts aren't meant to be that way, like a journalist interview.
Yeah.
So I like to preface it by a few things. There's only a few categories in my life that I even pay attention to. Really, what I found when I was younger in my 20s, that I came across a great mentor. She's still in my life, and that's where this question is coming from. She told me to, study broadly, like try a bunch of things to find out what you like. Once you find what you like, go deep and narrow your path to focus on those few things, because it's hard to get good at anything. If you try to do 1,000 things, you'll likely get good at none of them. So I talk about entrepreneurship a ton, fatherhood a ton, mentorship, fitness is a big one, health, mental health. So those are like the 4 or 5 categories that I really talk about community. This one is, and I missed one, impact, purpose, same type of idea. This one is about impact. And my mentor, one of them, when I was in my 20s, she really encouraged me to start thinking this way, like think about your impact. Essentially, to give you the short form, it's like you're born, you die. What's the result of the middle? And so she encouraged me to think that way. She also taught me the value of time, is that something is giving me time that is out of my control, something other than me. I can't create more time. I can only control to a certain extent what I do at that time. So she encouraged me to think of, reflect on what your impact has been up to this point, the intention about your impact for today, because you may not get tomorrow. And then for as long as you are here, what do you want to be the net sum of your impact? And it's something that has changed the trajectory of my life significantly. So I love to ask the guests on the show, Candice, what would you like your impact to be?
You talk about mentorship, and I have a couple close mentors that I've met, both just from this industry alone, to customers coming through my door. But my main mentor was my father. He was an impeccable salesman, not anything close to this industry. But he always told me, and it sounds silly, but it's true. He said, it's the shoes you're wearing that carry you through the door, that walk you through your day. So choose your shoes wisely. And it's so funny that, he always used to say, rub off your woes outside the door. Just enjoy what you love. And if you choose to pick up your woes on the way out, that's on you. But 90% of the time, the wind's already blown them away. So, one thing that I love is that, I get up in the morning, I get myself ready, choose my shoes of the day, and I walk in here ready for a new day, a new experience, something new to learn, and something else that I can help people with, whether it's planning an event or, struggling with a bit of paperwork or whatever the case might be, that I look at every day as a brand new day on what I can grow with for the next day. And maybe something that I can help educate somebody else on with their business plans or their futures or whatever the case might be. But at the end of the day, it's where are your steps taking you? And if your steps aren't taking you to a place that you care about and you love, then you put the wrong shoes on that morning. And clearly it wasn't the right shoes to carry you through your day. And I definitely don't think this one location is it for Linx. I have a few other business models in my head of this brand. And I want to be able to share it around, the amount of people say, hey, there should be one up in Aurelia. There should be one up here. There should be one here. And we go, okay, I can help you with that. And I can help you grow the brand. And I can help you understand this business. But it's also helping and knowing that I can help somebody else grow, or I can help my staff grow, or, my team in general grow both personal and professionally. But it's, it's honestly how I go about it. Do I still have stressful days where I'm crying in my office? Sure. I don't think if somebody says they don't do that, I don't believe them.
They're fibbing.
They are lying.
They're fibbing.
But you know what I mean? Like sometimes it's trying a food that I don't want to try and I have to try it. And it's things like that, or, taking the word of somebody else within the industry wanting to help you and, realizing that you don't know everything and putting the pride aside and being open-minded. And, there's quite a few times that we have people reach out to us wanting to, hey, can we borrow Linx to do this event? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that one. And other times I'm like, I think that's a great idea if it helps the community. Mm-hmm. And I'm all for getting the community involved and being open-minded if it helps them both here or there or whatever the case might be, to learning something new for myself. I need to keep learning. Otherwise, what am I doing?
I love it. There's just, I was just talking about this on the last episode, that the more I learn, the older I get, the more I understand the depth of my ignorance, right? Yep. Like I know almost nothing, even though I know more than I did 5 years ago. It's compared to what is available to me. It's small. So when I'm trying to learn something new, or I've experienced something and I've gotten a takeaway from it, I try to go to the books to see, did they have the same experience but the same takeaway? Yep. Talk to some people like yourself, other guests on the show. Did they have a similar experience with similar takeaways? And when I ask that question, I get common things. Continue to do new things, continue to challenge yourself, continue to learn, try in whatever way you can to help people. Yep. And it seems like these 3, 4, 5 common things that are like, okay, well, this is what I've based this part of my life on. There's 1,000 other successful people doing it. It must be somewhat right. And it kind of reinforces that point. So it's one of my favorite reasons to ask that question. But I think the overwhelming response when it comes to impact is the community. Yeah. Everybody is so focused on elevating the community, and it is just fantastic to hear.
This is the thing. So I come from, like you were talking about it earlier, the amount of careers that I have done to find my point right now, what I went to school for, to what I spent years doing, everything is always somewhat the same. Like everything has a key element that is brought from it. I come from a funeral directory background, to sales, to makeup, to, I've done everything. I've done a lot of stuff. I was even a fitness instructor at one point too, like I've done all these different careers, but at the end of the day, I love customer service. I love being able to help people and know that, when a Google review comes through, I already know what the Google review is going to be before it gets here, because I know what experience I just put in their head. I know what they went through, and that was part of me. And I can go home and tell these stories, or my staff can see it and witness it and go, oh, I was having a rough day and what I just witnessed changed me. And it's those little key things that if I'm not learning, something's going wrong.
I know, right?
Yeah,
it is cool. And when you were talking so much about the customer service piece, and I know what the Google review is going to be, and I just put this experience in their head. It's this quote from Maya Angelou that comes to my mind. She says, "People won't remember what you said, people won't remember what you did, but they'll remember how you made them feel." Like that walking away 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, I still have this feeling inside. It's like, I can't remember what I ate, and I don't remember exactly what the ambiance was or who said what or what her name was, but man, I'm going back because it felt really good. And if you can make people feel good, I don't know if there's much better than that, right?
And it's true. And it's crazy is when we first opened up and we were getting Google reviews, if it was like a 4-star, we'd be like, what? Why? And if we got a 1-star, which would have been like a lie or something, we'd be like, but why? And, we used to have a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of tears and a lot of arguments over these Google reviews that we had zero control over. And now our mindset's different. We're like, okay, well, if I did get a 2-star review, why? What did I do? What did we do? How can we fix it? How can we grow? And it wasn't necessarily about to change their opinion. They've already got it set in their head, but it's what can I do to change it for the next person should this come about again? And I took it as a learning curve versus criticism and heartache and sleepless nights. It was, that's when I knew I need to teach my staff, or that's when I knew that I need to learn to deal with differently. And it changed my mindset on how I deal with certain things and how those Google reviews come through and what they actually mean and how to grow from them. And it's a lot of little things like that that change over the years of owning a business.
Oh yeah, I think just dealing with the hardships of dealing with a business makes you much more resilient. But not everybody has that same growth mindset. Because it's our business, it's our baby. If somebody puts flack on it, a lot of us take it very personally, and that could bring us down every time we hear it. Whereas the most successful entrepreneurs that are in my little sphere, they see that 2-star review and think exactly that. Okay, where do we go wrong? How can we get better? It's not this person is wrong, it's their fault. It's just simply, where did we go wrong? What can we do better? What's one takeaway from it? And then you do that over 5 or 10 years, and you have this constantly growing, ever evolving experience to offer to you and your people.
It's true because, I came to that conclusion that you're not going to please everyone. Right. Not everybody's going to be happy. Somebody can look at something and go, wow, this is the best meal I've ever had. And that exact same dish can go to the person beside them and go, this is horrible. And you're never going to please everyone. Everybody goes through that different experience. But okay, well, why did that person think it was horrible? Is it just personal preference, or is it something that we did? Was it maybe how we brought the plate to them? Was it possibly how it was put in front of them? Did they have to wait for a cutlery or something, like something, little things that could have nothing to do with the dish, but how can I make their experience better?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's good. It's been a good conversation. Candice, how can people find out about you? If they want to connect, where do they go? What do they call? How do they learn more?
So we are on the social media platforms that I say that matter, but we are on Facebook and Instagram, which is to me the more social platforms for our demographic that we mostly target.
Definitely.
You can definitely still check out our website. We are a website that is friendly, both mobile and laptop or computer based. So you can definitely check us out on social medias. We target any special event that's going on here, our hours or special dinners or anything like that on our social media platforms. Or honestly, just come on in, ask us some questions, see the space. The amount of tours that we do at this place is astronomical. So just come on by. You don't even have to stick around. Just come and see the space and plan your next trip.
Love it. What is the address, Candice?
So we are at 312 King Street, Unit 1 and 2. So King Street, like I said, is one of those weird loops that go this way, and it's not the greatest. We're kind of in between a bunch of fields and some, factories and stuff, but we are kind of hidden around back, like that little hidden gem, the little hideaway around back beside a kid's play place. Leave the kids there and come on over here.
It just makes the story more interesting. Yeah. And what's the website?
So it's linxkitchen.com. Super simple. Yeah, Linx with an X.
Well, Candice, I love it. I'm definitely coming by there again. Like, I have had the personal experience. Not every guest on the show we've experienced before. I know I haven't met you, but I've been in your place, and it is fantastic for the golfer, the eater, the beer drinker, the sports watcher, the person that's wanting to go on a date. You check a lot of boxes. And there's not a ton of very, very upscale modern restaurants in this Barrie area. Certainly not if you're used to Toronto. And it gives you that vibe. The Simcoe County, Barrie, there's a lot of character to it. There's a lot of uniqueness to it. But what you offer, it was an unchecked box, I'd like to say. And I've been there, and it's fantastic. And I'm looking to go back there again. Really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing all that you did.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, until we chat again, Candice, you have a fantastic rest of your day.
Thank you. You as well.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com or call 705-413-3775.